Episode 309, Mike Goldstein, take one. Never done that before, never announced that it was take one or who it was when I was showing that. That was the first time I did it for you. I did it for you, Mike Goldstein. Mike Goldstein, the real deal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
In that little jingle part I just did, it made me think of like the old like Saturday morning cartoons, like when they're after these messages, we'll be right back. Where there's like the claymation dog and the fire hydrant.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're showing your age there a bit, but
yeah, a little bit,
just a little bit. Next, you're gonna tell me about like the go to the snack cart thing at the movie theater that they used to have with like the dancing popcorn.
Let's all go to the lobby. Yeah. Now, I don't know. Have you been on other podcasts before? Have you done a lot of stuff like that?
The last one I did was some young kid who kept bugging me about it, like on Twitter. He's like, "Oh, come on, do my." I'm like, "Hey, when I got a free moment," and I'm just like, because he was like a real like young kid, right? And eventually,
I've been a part of things like that too.
Yeah, and then eventually I was like, "All right, I'll do the kids podcast," and then it was with like some other wrestler too, and the other guy just kept talking, and he just kept asking me about like WWE stuff, like never like a personal question. He's like, "Oh, what do you think about like Roman Reigns' title reign and stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's cool, you know." It's
like, I do think there's a large chunk of people who just see that wrestling happens to be in your profile picture and you happen to be a wrestler. Then they go, "Oh yeah, you must want to talk to me about the stuff that I watch on TV and I like, and I don't want to actually find out who you are or anything about you. We're just going to talk about what I've decided we're talking about."
Yeah. He didn't really have like much of a format or anything, but I'm like, whatever. He's a young kid. I think it's because he watched, he was a GTS fan.
Okay,
which
right.
is a show I appeared on. Yeah, because the other guy was a GTS wrestler who was like on the podcast. I didn't even know he was going to be there. And they were like already talking. And then I just hop in and I'm like, well, I guess I'm here now too. But before that, the only other... What's up?
I know they have a fan base, like a pretty big, solid following on social media. Yeah. But how like weird is it? Is it like just kids? Is it like
no? There's like adults,
like people who are actually going to interact with you and like care about what you're saying or doing.
Yeah, because like believe it or not, I ran into a guy in my hometown who recognized me from the show, and he'd been watching it, like him and his wife. So but yeah, I think it is just like a lot of like young kids who watch it. But you know, that was the main reason he had me there.
It's surprising then that if he knew you from that and he watched you on that he wouldn't ask you specific questions about yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was like prepared for, to like kind of give a semi kayfabe interview about that.
Toys, and I snapped them in half, and I said, "No toys in this show."
Yeah, but thankfully that other wrestler was there to like tank most of that interview, and then it was I literally remember nothing about it because I just sat there silently the majority of it. But besides that kid, I did like Noah Houlihan's podcast a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Like I think I was on there like at least. I know he interviewed me once, and then I was on it because he did games on the show.
Right.
Yeah, that was back when he would do it like in the different
podcast.
Yeah, when he would do it like in different like comic book stores and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that
awesome.
era.
So there's got to be tons of people who just come up to you and just ask you questions. What is the most like frequently asked questions from like just a pedestrian, just somebody who's like peripherally a fan of wrestling? What is like the most commonly asked question? Because like people have probably always got to come up to you and be like, "You've got to have advice for me. You're big and I want to be big like you're big. Just tell me everything. You did all the work. You know all the secrets. You tell me what those are and I'll be better without doing any of the work for myself."
Like when a fan finds, like when someone just finds out I'm a wrestler, you mean? And like, what's their first question?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like the obvious, like, oh, like, is it like, how scripted is it? Or how, you know, like, oh, does that really hurt? Like, that's the generic one.
Right.
But then it's always like, oh, how can I get into it? like get into the business of or be a wrestler. You know what I mean?
We'd be like, well, you got to know somebody. And we're like, well, now I know you. No, you met
Yeah,
me
and
5 minutes ago.
well, usually I'm just like, hey, kid, do you like enjoy watching this? Like, it genuinely brings you some happiness. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, then just stay on that side of the guardrail. Like,
Do that. Just continue
yeah,
doing
trust
that.
me. Yeah, you won't be like, man, I hate this now. Like, why did I do? I used to enjoy this.
Glory
This used to
goes
bring me happy.
away. The glory fades quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like literally, some kid I met at at like a retro video game store, Hidden Level Games in Wyland, New Jersey, because um, Tim, the guy who does music for cosplay wrestling and he films, you know that kid.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like
Mo's brother.
well, no, he does that too. But there's
Okay.
another kid who will film. He's got like really long hair. I don't know if you ever even spoke two
Okay.
words with
Okay.
him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, him, and I don't know if you remember a worker by the name of Problem Child. Remember him from way back in?
Of course, I remember
Yeah,
Tony.
Tony. Yeah,
Of
the two of
course.
them
Of
work.
course. There's
The
there's
two of them.
there's not a day goes by that I don't remember Problem Child. I
Oh, that's good.
I've always really enjoyed being around him. He's got an energy unlike anybody else. He's got a real passion for entertainment, and I love it.
Nice. You should have him on here at some point. He'd make a good interview. But him and Tim both work at a like a retro video game store called Hidden Level Games.
Right.
So big shout out to them. And I met a kid there. It was like the day after Edge showed up on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
It was that Monday, and this kid had like a Edge shirt on, and I'm like, oh, someone wearing like wrestling merch in public. You don't see that every day because you really don't.
Right. You don't.
Like someone outwardly expressing that they actually like this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, can you even remember the last time you were out in public and you saw someone wearing wrestling merch?
Me?
Like, think real hard, because I sell this to people all the time. I was like, when was the last time you saw someone out in public wearing wrestling merch? And they like have to really think.
I saw this really cool looking handsome guy wearing a NWO shirt recently.
And it's always Attitude Era stuff when they think about it.
And it was in the mirror. It was me. I was the one. No, I did not. I have not seen too many wrestling shirts.
You're almost going to prove my point, because usually when I tell people that, I'm like, every time I see somebody, it's very rare, and it's always Attitude Era stuff.
Right.
It's never like the modern stuff.
Because that was when wrestling had millions of viewers, and everybody was watching it, and everybody was hooked, and no one's hooked anymore.
Yeah. Well, also the merch was like, you could like wear it in public and not
It was
kind of
embarrassed.
Cool. Yeah. But to backtrack, so I saw the kid in the store with an Edge rated R shirt thing, right? And it was that Monday after he showed up, and I was like, "Hey, kid, cool shirt." And he was like, "Oh, wrestling fan." And then I was like, "He's not going to do anything for that company, though. You know that, right?" And he was like, deflated. and then I was like, "I'm kidding, dude." And we sparked up about wrestling and told him about like myself and whatever. And then, of course, he was like, "Oh, like." He's like, how can I get into it? He's like, I would just want to be nothing more than like a jobber. I don't want to be like the champ. He's like, I just want to be the guy who like comes in and get punched once and that's it. And I was like,
I don't know if that was like long term. I don't know if there's a real longevity in that.
Yeah, that's all he wanted. That's literally all the kid wanted. He was like, I would just love to be that guy who gets like in the ring and it's one move and done. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess you'd have to get trained and stuff, but you know, that'd be, I guess, pretty easy to get that spot if that's all you wanted. If you went up to promote, say, hey, can I just be the guy who gets beat up in one move? Because who really wants to be that guy right now? You know?
Yeah. I would be like, what's your purpose? What are your goals? You just
like, one move and done guy. He just wants to.
You spread butter.
Pretty much.
What is my purpose? Yeah. It's.
But he was a good kid, but that was like I said, like everybody's like, oh, how can I get in? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think, you know what, thinking about like when I was real young and I wanted to get into it, thinking about like what I think short term, what I thought like it would be great if I could just do this. Like, I think even I remember being like, if I could get in a ring and run the ropes, I'd be happy. Like, I didn't even think I was going to be a wrestler. I was like, I just got to get in the ring. I want to run the ropes and see what that feels like. And once I did it, I was like, all right, I got to see what everything else feels like. All right, I got to see what being on a show feels like. I got to see what interacting with an audience feels like. That's all like like you might think that you'd be happy to just do that, but like once you scratch that itch, the itch gets bigger.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. You want like just having a match isn't enough. Then you want to have like 3-way match, a 4-way match. I want to do a cage match, a ladder match. Like I want to go through a
But
table. I want to put a guy through a table.
when it comes to advice, though, like the advice you're giving somebody is really just like your scope of it. Like so, like you're like there's no guarantee that you, not specifically you, the general you, it is going to have the same desires I have. Like is going to have the same goals that I have. Like if anybody were to ask me for advice or how to get into the wrestling business or like mimic my road, my journey, I'm like, what, you want to know how to break into the wrestling business in 2001? You want to know what that's like? It's not the same. Like and you're also not me. Like there was a whole other part of it. Like, dude, you were 17 when you broke in. Like that's work you've been doing for like 10, 12 years. How long you been at it for?
I started when I was 15 in 2007.
Okay. I met you when you were 17.
Right. I think you met me at 16 because I had my first match. I started training 07, and then I had like my match almost a year later. And that was when I met you for the first time, and we kind of like worked out in the ring a little bit. I don't know if you remember that, like beforehand.
Yes, and I taught you of the wonders of conditioner.
Yeah, well, no, you told me something, and I've told it to many other kids since then. You were like, because remember I had like a black singlet and like black knee pads, black boots, and electrical tape on my wrist, which was the style at the time. Which I don't know where that ever went to. You said because you were like you told me about my gear, right? And you were like, what you wear when you wrestle, like if you were to walk into like the local mall or like the local Wawa or Walmart or a Target wearing it, would it turn any heads? Would people be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know what I mean? Like
I said that.
Yeah, something along those lines. You were like, would it, if you were to wear it in public, would it really like, would people notice you and be like, oh, what's this guy? Like, what? Like, let me go talk to him. He looks interested. You know what I mean?
That's some pretty wise, sage advice, I'd say.
Yeah, because I remember
not
you
really
were
advice, but it's like input, I guess.
No, but it's correct. You were absolutely 100% correct. Like, because all I had on was just a black like plain black wrestling singlet, black knee pads, black boots, black wrist tape. Like no character, just guy who wrestles. Like, I'm not even like an amateur wrestler, so like I was wearing like that's just what I had at the time.
Was it 2007? You said
it was either late 07 or early 08. And you, because I remember you were wearing the white Castle trunks that you used to wear.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Those.
Yeah.
I think around that time, and I probably started grasping it way more later. And I think that it's still something I'm trying to work on, is trying to understand, like, if I wasn't me, would I line up and pay money to watch me perform?
Absolutely.
And that's something I started kind of trying to grasp a little bit more of back then. And I think like, as far as like gear goes, like I would go to too many shows and see too many people wearing the same kind of gear, or seeing other people have gear that friends of mine had. And I was like, I don't want to ever show up to a show and see somebody with the same exact gear as me. Like, I want to make sure what I wear is unique to me and it stands out as something that can give these fans something to remember me by and this experience by.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Like, everybody's just wearing like black, mainly all black, and it's just first name, last name, wrestler. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if I see you once, and I've seen you like a million times at that point,
right? And then what distinguishes you from somebody else if you're all wearing the same kind of stuff? And like, and I also, I mean, I've probably said this to you before, and I've said it on here a bunch of times. There's people in that audience who've probably never been to wrestling before, and they already have their preconceived idea of what the wrestling business is, and you're lowering the standard for them. They're like, okay, yeah, I was right. Pro wrestling. Oh, I went to this pro wrestling event, and these guys were sissy girl slap fight. Like it's like be proud to be a pro wrestler and represent the business like the people who represented the business when you fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And
Like
that's
like when I've told
something I
kids
think
about
is
that with the
really
gear, I'm like, when you were a kid and they're like, whenever you officially decided to do this, like, was that how you thought you were gonna look?
no.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when,
No. I had no
or like,
idea.
I mean, I understand like maybe like you just didn't have the money at the time, so maybe you just got like some pre-made gear from somewhere,
Right.
which that's fine to a
We all
degree.
had our
But
E Lucha high spots days.
yeah, I still technically wear that, but I mean
Okay.
on me, like like on me because I'm like this big hairy like kind of almost 80s style
Right.
wrestler look.
Yeah. Nobody at a show is like you. Like
Yeah,
nobody else on a show has the presentation that you have. So regardless of what you're wearing, it's on you,
yeah,
and you're
like
a big hairy gorilla.
yeah. Basically, like I don't know. I just tell guys I'm like that's money. That's all I understand. It's just money. It's not like if you're like oh like I can't like it's really hard for me to get in shape and look like a like like a wrestler. I
Mhm.
understand like maybe genetics plays a factor. I get that. You
Right.
can't make someone taller. I'm not. I would never say, "Hey, man, you need to get on a quick cycle." I would never say that. But but at least like have some gear.
You would
That's
hint
just
at it.
money.
You would be like, you
No.
need to gain weight. You
Yeah.
need to get bigger. That I had a I had an agent once tell me that.
Yeah.
It was like I knew what they were getting at.
Yeah.
And I was like,
They'll never say
yeah,
they'll never directly say it to you from what I've been told
right.
because
I'm too young for that. I don't wanna screw my body up.
right.
I mean, I think at the time I was probably 22, something. I don't know. I mean, but that's the age when everybody does it, I guess, right? That's the
Yeah.
age when everybody gets on stuff.
I've never really looked into it, you know. Like I was
Well, I
at least
mean,
like kind of blessed with size, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm not
it's
like
really not something. It's not really something that's like in the front of your mind to do. Like you already have what other people get on that stuff to get.
yeah. Like I don't need to go on human growth hormone. Like
I mean,
so
I mean, I won't like vilify testosterone at all. I think,
no.
especially when we get to a certain age, and we get to a certain age, our body stops naturally producing testosterone, and
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing
No.
to
You just can't
to
abuse it.
enhance your performances.
Yeah. That's fine. The
Mhm.
abuse, because like when I first got into this, I was like, man, I never want to get into that because like you'd see what happened like Eddie Guerrero and a lot of other guys like who else had like a kind of steroid esque problem. I know there's so
Jim,
many, but
Ultimate
huh?
Warrior, Jim,
Yeah.
the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Uh,
But like mainly like Eddie Guerrero's when he died, how it was so sudden. Because I'm assuming like didn't they say like when he did the autopsy for him, like his heart was like gigantic. His heart was like so huge from like the human growth hormone.
I
Don't
hadn't
quote
done
me on
any.
that.
Yeah, I hadn't
But
done any diving into pre-death autopsy facts about or post-death autopsy facts on Eddie Guerrero.
yeah, that's just something. Well, I mean, HGH like that'll make like your hands and feet get bigger. Like everything about you gets bigger, so your heart gets bigger, and you have to pump more blood into it, and that's what like kills you. You know what I mean? So
Do you think how misleading it would be when they go like, "Oh, you know what they say about guys with big hands?" And they're like, "Yeah, but you still got a little the same size pecker. Your pecker is the same exact size. Like your hands have grown, but nah, not everything." Uh, so, uh, what have you been watching, man? What's your recent content that you've been consuming?
Something I've been watching. Jeez, like I mean, I don't even own a TV to be honest with you.
You
I
don't
don't.
even own a TV?
I don't have a TV. Like I have this laptop that is a piece of crap that I only turn on every once in a while, and it needs to update. So
So do
mainly like
you just read comic books?
I haven't read a comic book in so long, to be honest with you either.
Dude, you're such a nerd. How do you not watch stuff?
I
And how do
know
you not
it's a shame because I run a show about pop culture characters fighting. I know, like, because here's how, because people, it's funny. If you want to just transition to talking about cosplay wrestling, because I'm assuming you wanted to bring that up.
If it comes up, cool, whatever. But I'm not. I wasn't interested in the agenda to get there.
No, okay, I'm because some people will pitch me characters to play, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And they're like, oh, dude, it's this popular show, and I'm like, if it's so popular, how come it popped up on my feed somewhere? Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't have TikTok. I don't mess with TikTok. I don't give it. I have enough shorts, reels, whatever you want to call them, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, not Twitter doesn't have it, but Instagram and Facebook, right? So when someone sends me a TikTok link, I'm like, I don't have that. It's not going to show up. Like, but it's so funny. And I'm like, well, if it's so funny, it'll leave TikTok and I'll find it on Facebook or Instagram. Is my reply. Okay, it'll leave its containment center and it'll show up there.
It's like, I'm not going to see that in the theaters. I'll just wait till it comes out on video.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
What is the most commonly pitched characters that people do? And like, actually, I want to know, like, the delusions, if these are people who could actually pull off the characters that they're trying to pitch to you.
Like, sometimes they'll get pitched for like a mainstream character that I would love to have on the show, but like the person doesn't look like it. Like, it'll be like a 5 foot tall, like pudgy beer belly guy. He's like, I want to be a Power Ranger. And I'm like, okay, like, you don't really look like one. Even if you had the costume and it was like perfect, like, I'm sorry, it wouldn't. And like, can you work like one? Like, like, I'm willing to book.
I think anybody could go like this with their hands, and
like you have like some kind of martial art, like, but then you have like this guy hanging out. Like,
isn't that like everything the Power Rangers ever did? I didn't like Power Rangers, but I feel like every time you'd watch them, they would be like, "Listen, we're gonna do this, and this is how the world's gonna go."
Yeah, they have to shake their heads so you know which one is talking, because they're in a helmet, so you don't know which one is talking.
I've never liked Power Rangers, but I actually did voice Power Rangers animated cartoon.
Did you?
For I did Tommy for my friends, like University of Art Institute of Philadelphia, I think, for like his final project that he did.
Oh, that's cool. I thought you could say like, yeah, I did like some official Power Rangers things. Like, oh,
no, it was just a friend's project.
Cool. I don't really like this crap, but I'll take the paycheck.
But it looks professional. It looks good. It looks legit.
Okay.
But like,
I auditioned for I auditioned for the live action movie that came out a few years ago. I didn't get it, so I was like, whatever. I don't really,
I auditioned for the movie Holes when I was 17, the Shia LaBeouf movie.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
For what character? Guy who digs hole in the background, or like
guy who digs hole in the background? No, the kid who was also in Waiting, who was like doing whippets.
I never saw that movie. I know the movie you're talking about, but I never saw it.
Okay.
Because it had Dane Cook in it, and I'm like, this can't be funny if it has Dane Cook in it.
You're a Dane Cook hater?
He was funny, and then he just became the same joke. When you're comedy, when you become the same joke guy, is when I give up on you. Like, Kevin Hart was pretty funny, that he became same joke guy. I'm like, I get it. You're short, and you think you're a bitch. Like, you're like I get it. Like, when you're this, like, because is that not his whole shtick? Is that he's short and then he's a bitch?
Yeah, it was the underlining theme of many of his specials.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've seen this. Like,
what was it? The
like,
one
like I don't know if like in comedy they have a term like spot monkey. Like, all you do is flips. It's like, well, all you do is the same joke. I don't know if they have.
Yeah, I think it's pretty one dimensional. Yeah, I guess like with a wrestler who'd be one dimensional, or like they don't really have layers to their. There's no nuance. It's like we're gonna wind up getting kind of the exact same churned out stuff. I didn't ever. I think maybe I put Dane Cook up on a pedestal because he was like a big inspiration to me. At a very,
he was funny. He was funny
at a very
point,
pivotal time. Like, I'm a huge fan of comedy documentaries, and his documentary show that was on HBO called Tourgasm was something I was like a huge fan of, and I think I discovered Gary Goldman through that. So if you don't know who Gary Goldman is, he's got a new book out. He's a really funny comedian, and he's got a new special on Netflix called The Great Depression. So if you wanted to check out Gary Goldman, he's a hilarious dude.
Okay, I'll take that recommendation. If a buddy of mine has Netflix, so I'll use his. Like, yeah, I have no streaming services, like nothing, dude. Like, when you asked me for content, I was like, oh, geez, that's a hard question. Like,
so you just like watch Facebook Reels as your entertainment?
not really, but because I try not to get into that, like, because that's such a problem these days. Like, you just start watching them, and it's so easy. And it just destroys your attention span. Like, it has wrecked havoc on like the attention span of like younger kids. And I'm like, all right, I gotta stop. This is
time suck.
Yeah.
Super time suck.
Yeah. Well, that's the point of it, to keep your attention. Like, that's what
I mean, then you're not going to be worried and scared about how fleeting life is.
That's true. That's very true.
And like, you're just going to go to work, make the money that you got to make to pay the bills that you got to pay, and be a consumer just like everybody else.
Yep. Just so
I've just depressed myself. I just got really depressed. No.
I mean, you need to look at a couple of reels real quick.
I'm just a cog in the wheel. a cog in the reel.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You must do good humor in front of millennial audiences, because it's just nothing but self-deprecation. Is that all? Yeah, it's all you got to do. Like,
no,
that?
I mean, I don't really do self-deprecating stuff too much, because I feel like I want to not make people feel like it's okay to talk to me about me the way I talk to me about me. If I talk bad about myself, I'm giving them permission to talk bad about me to me, which I don't want. And I'm worthy of respect. And if somebody who I don't know and isn't worthy of respect just off of first impressions is gonna come and disrespect me, it's not gonna fly. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not intelligent. I'd rather do jokes that were smart and funny and silly than jokes that were like directed at me. Like, oh, yeah, I'm an idiot, and then people go, oh yeah, this guy's an idiot.
But I just say, like, that's like all like millennial humor is. It's just self-deprecating. Like, right. Like yeah, I woke up this morning and saw the trash guy take out the trash, and he forgot me. Ha ha. That's like, that's the basis of it, And
then I said to the trash guy, "Take my wife, please." I mean, life.
It's over. It's over with me, Corey. It's over with me.
Good. That's, as long as you pop the boys, nothing else matters.
Yeah, right. It's like, I'm assuming stand-up comedy does it's like, yeah, I'm just trying to make the guys in the back laugh, not the actual people who paid to see us. I'm assuming that's the same thing over there too.
It's kind of scary when you hear the other comics laugh, because you watch them laugh at other people. Like, you sit next to them as they're laughing at how not over somebody is, and how much like somebody's just a parody of themselves.
Well, that's, that can be wrestling too. You're behind the curtain watching a bad match, and you're like, oh man, this is so entertaining. Like, because I have to like, when I'm at GTS, right? I don't know if you've ever seen an episode of that show by any chance. So
I've seen stuff that Tarzan posts.
Okay.
What a guy. And I don't really see much. What do you say?
What a guy.
Yeah.
Have you like met him before, or you just see like?
Oh yeah. I mean, I knew him back when he was the Jersey Kid. He wrestled as the Jersey Kid back in the day. So I'm gonna say he was also young. Like when I met you and you were young, he was also young. I met him. Okay. He was like 17 or something, 17, 18. And he was, funny story about that. I went Nick Burke asked me to be his wingman on a date once, and
Okay.
and I went with him, and the girl was asking me if I knew this kid Randy, and then I was like, I don't think I know him. And then she was like, he wrestles as the Jersey Kid, and I was like, oh yeah. So Nick Burke went on a date with Jersey Kid, Tarzan Duran's teacher.
Okay. But
small world kind of stuff.
Right. What was I going? So when I'm there at GTS, right, and you're not wrestling in the ring, you're standing around the ring as kind of like an audience, and you have to like react to what you're seeing. He's like, as long as like you just can't stand there like this, looking bored. You have to be like, yeah, go, whatever, or like. And so most of the time, I'm just like in kayfabe, I'm just gonna like just shit on the guys in the ring because I'm usually heel there anyway. And it was funny because it was a match with Tarzan and this kid called E Money Millie. I don't know if you ever heard of this kid before.
Oh, sounds so original. That sounds like the most generic-y jobby name there is. It's my greatest desire is to just come out and lose matches. You just punch me in my face and pin me, and that's it. That's the same kid, right? This is the same kid you talked about how you met. And
No,
he said he just wanted to be a jobber.
No. Like the two of them just have like.
Go ahead.
The two of like
just having fun.
Tarzan and this kid E Money just kept going on and on and on, and it wasn't bad. But it got to the point where I'm so bored. I'm like, I'm just gonna start making fun of this, like to entertain myself. Because if I have to react, I might as well just like have fun with it. Like they just kept kicking out of everything, like super mega indie Japanese style, whatever. And like Oppenheimer, I believe I said that right, just came out. That movie, right? Oppenheimer, however we say it.
The Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah,
about the
like
A-bomb.
Yeah, right. They like kicked out of stuff, and I was like, this match is longer than Oppenheimer, and the two of them are gonna have to use tactical nukes to actually defeat each other. And like everybody started laughing, popping and like Grimm's behind the because he does commentary when he films, and he's like, oh, Mike Goldstein, he's the Bobby Heenan of GTS right now. Like,
oh yeah, that's a total Bobby Heenan thing to say.
Yeah, because I'm like, if I have to sit here and watch these guys kick out of everything 100 times, I'm like, I'm at least trying to have some fun with it.
You know, that's a whole other channel of content would be doing alternative commentary tracks to GTS matches.
Yeah, you could. I think there's some guy out there who like does like his whole channel is just called GTS Reacts. So like, like they're just taking the clip and just reacting to it. I've never watched one, but I see it come up in like my recommended stuff.
Oh, that's a real thing?
Yeah. I don't know if it's like as funny as like what I just said. Like,
yeah. Like comedy reacts would be the best. Like,
right.
If you're just trying to roast whoever's in the ring, like you just are going low on whatever the most offensive thing is.
Like, yeah, but I mean, like, because in my character, I make fun of a lot of these guys anyway. I'm like, oh, you're all a bunch of kick pad wearing, thigh slapping, vanilla midget, video game playing nerds, and I'm the only real guy wrestler here, you know. So like when I do that, at least it's in like kayfabe. Like this one kid will do like that sling blade move. You know what I'm talking about? The sling blade thing, the clothesline.
Where like it's like they go around the left arm and do like a crucifixy sort of reverse.
Right, like it's like you clothesline and then like you end up clotheslining him with this one because you turned around the whole circle.
I've never liked that move. I've never liked that
anyway,
move. And the fact is, like, the person taking it goes, like they always come into it like lazily throwing their left arm up. Nobody ever starts any move with throwing their left arm up. It makes it all look dumb.
Yeah, but it's cool because you flipped around the guy and then
the other guy. Because it's flippy. Because it's flippy.
Well,
it adds a tinge of excitement.
Yeah, tinge. But this kid, this kid called Isaac Scythe does it a lot. And like every time he does it, I yell at him, I'm like, oh, that sling blade's looking kind of dull, kid.
Yeah, strapping up that sling blade, buddy.
Or like he also likes to do that elbow thing that Will Ospreay does, where he like elbows the guy in the back of the head. You know what I'm talking about?
Is that like the thing that they do in the Blackpool Combat Club?
I
That
don't know. The guy's like
dumb
the
like
guy's
weak
sitting down,
elbow thing?
and he just like elbows him in the back of the head, and like
Is it just one elbow? Or are you talking about the
yeah, he
thing
was
that Daniel Bryan does, where it's like multiple?
no. Like he just
No,
like come from behind the guy, and just I guess elbow him or whatever.
no, I don't know. I don't
All
know
right.
that
Well,
move.
that kid also does it, and I'm like, he'll do it, and I'm like, oh man, Will Ospreay's rolling over in his grave right now, and everybody's like, but he's still alive, and I'm like, well, he's dead after seeing this.
He
Like
wish he
someone,
was dead.
yeah, like someone will do like a Michinoku driver. I'm like, oh, Taka Michinoku's rolling over in his grave, and I'm like, he's still alive, Goldstein, and I'm like, no, he's gonna be dead after watching that because he's gonna have a stroke.
What are you
Like,
talking about? What are you talking about? So you're do you, since you don't have a TV, are you not consuming any of the wrestling content that like the pro wrestling TV product as far as like WWE and AEW?
like I haven't watched a full episode of any of those shows. Like actually, the only full episode of anything AEW's ever done I've ever seen was when I went to go see Rampage live in Atlantic City.
Mhm.
They had like a Rampage taping, and like I got dragged there because my friend was trying to like date this girl, and I knew she liked wrestling because she like trained a little
Mhm.
bit. I don't know if you remember, her name was like Mia. Remember I wrestled at the library show, the really tiny girl.
Hmm.
The very first time I did that show at the library, you were there.
It's familiar. I
All right.
remember I remember all of the details in it. I remember the library. I remember that you wrestled a girl, but I don't
Mhm.
remember anything
Well,
about
it's that
specifically
girl.
that
It
individual
was that
girl.
girl. It was that girl.
Okay.
Yeah, and my friend John was trying to date her, and I was like, "She likes AEW. Why don't you buy her tickets to that show and take her?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, cool. You're gonna come with me, right?" And I'm like,
Why
I
would
don't
you
want to I don't want to third wheel your date to this wrestling promotion that I don't really care too much for."
Yeah, that's like, hey, feel like being a third wheel? Like,
Yeah.
like what?
But yeah, I ended up going, and then Ivy, the girl who like I tagged with and managed,
Uh-huh.
she came and she brought her
Uh-huh.
friend. So we
Okay.
just like what fifth wheeled that, like three, four, five wheeled
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah,
that was
I
the only
think
time I've seen a full episode of anything AEW's ever done. Like,
I think it might be fun content to Mystery Science Theater 3000 some AEW wrestling.
yeah,
Just
that's
to
because that like was once again. I'm like I'm sitting like because here's the thing. I never watched much of it. Like I just kept up with through it through highlights and
Mhm.
gifs and people's podcast reviews of stuff happening. Because that's all you really need. Like, dude, I can't sit like there's too much. You might as well just watch it through highlights and
Yeah.
people talking about it. Like you don't need to see it. I've seen enough wrestling, and so have you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, why do I need to watch the show? You know?
Yeah, it just makes me less enchanted. Like
Yeah,
it just pulls the magic out
yeah,
more and more as the more I watch it because it's like it's already like wrestling is in the mainstream kind of a laughing stock and
yeah,
AEW is doing nothing to change that.
yeah.
And
Well, I
that's
mean,
unfortunate.
it's very obvious what that promotion is now.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah, it's
it's funny how it's been around for 4 years, but it feels like it's been around for like 10 years.
yeah, it's
Doesn't it feel
just
like that?
yeah,
Like,
it does feel like it's been around for 10 years.
it's
And
like I was like,
you're not in the friends group. You're not in the cool clique.
yeah.
You're
Well,
not
that's kind of all what wrestling's become now. That's why
yeah.
like I
Yeah,
don't
but it
get
seems
mad
like
when
now
like I don't get booked.
it's mainlined it.
Yeah, like when you but people I told some people recently, I'm like, you're not getting booked because you're not good. It's just you're just not friends with the guy who runs it because nobody like anybody who actually has like a business mind would look at wrestling and be like, I'm not putting my money into this.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
could you imagine if you just had the money right now, Corey Castle, like you just had the disposable income and you're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I have all this money. It's like, would you honestly just start a wrestling show? Even if
No,
it's just a little indie, like,
I would
why?
not
Because yeah, it's
because
not
it's
going to
not a
come back.
moneymaker. It's not making anybody any money.
Yeah, the only person
Like
making money is Vince McMahon. Not even people who
I
work for
would
him
like
is.
I would really
Yeah,
like to be able to like create a territory and like have homegrown people and like have people
yeah,
like fans come and make it a draw and like actually make money off of wrestling. That's something I really, I've always kind of wanted to do. And I wanted to like kind of coach people on like how they can change what their presentation is. And, you know, the wrestling business is, I think it should be treated more like a sport. I think it should be treated more like a sport and a TV show at the same time. Like, so the storylines, the storylines are like the dramatic TV shows or the comedy TV shows, any of the stuff that you watch on Netflix that people binge. Like the thing is, like, I think people look down on wrestling fans and look down on pro wrestling by going like, oh, these people think this is actually real. These people are idiots. And it's like, no, they know that they know what it is. Like the people who are watching it don't think it's real. They appreciate it and they want to be, they want to be played to like art. Like a musician. When people go see a musician, they didn't go, oh, they're not coming up with this music on the fly. This is bullshit.
I compare it more to like magic shows. Like, you know, magic isn't real, but like, I don't know how he sawed that lady in half. I can Google it, obviously, but not like most people don't. Like, you know what I mean? They still go to magic shows and like, I remember seeing Penn and Teller in Atlantic City. My dad got like comp tickets to that, and like full house. I mean, I don't know if everybody was comped in there, but still, like, that's more than I've seen in an indie show. You know?
Yeah.
And like, and even Penn and Teller is telling you their magic isn't real. Like, they do that.
They come out there and they expose the business as they're doing it.
Yeah, in a comedic fashion.
Look at this! Like, look at this trick I'm about to show you. Let me turn it around and show you the inner workings of it. And then they go, still amused? And people go, yeah.
Like, don't they even have like a show where you have to like trick them with your trick? Like, they don't know. Like, they had that show where like some random magician would come up and do a trick, and then like Penn and Teller would be like, "Yeah, we know how you did that." They wouldn't say it to the audience, but like they'd go up and like, "Is this how you did it?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got me." But if like they're genuinely stumped, they're like, "Congratulations, you stumped us. We don't know how you did that trick." Something like that.
Penn and Teller's show on Showtime, they had a show called Bullshit, and that was a pretty fun.
It was a long time ago, right? That was like early 2000. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what your goal here is to constantly make me feel like I'm old, and it's really funny because it's like I've always come up with
the only different thing about you is the facial hair.
Yeah,
because
I look the exact same as I did 10 years ago, probably.
You just put on some weight, good weight, not bad weight,
right?
Because you know what's funny.
It was bad weight for 1 second.
Okay.
I had to get somewhere else. There's a journey.
Yeah, that's. I think I told you this the last time I saw you. Correct me if I'm wrong. I told you that I came across a YouTube channel that was just uploading, like, pretty much every CZW show ever, like the full thing. And I was watching some of the older ones with with you on them. Did I tell you about that?
I think you did, but I don't recall the specifics.
Well, and I'm watching young Cory Kastle, right, with the CKY or CKNY or whatever that tights that era of you, and I'm like, wow, man, like, if only I could like go into the screen and pull that guy aside and be like, listen, I'm from the future, and I got some really interesting news about your wrestling career that's going to blow your mind.
You never make it. You never make it.
I was going to say, hey, young Cory Kastle. Young Cory Kastle. Young Cory Kastle would be like,
18-year-old kid out and be like, listen, buddy, you're never going to make it.
Just
give up now.
I was going to say, I have some interesting news about your future in wrestling. And you'd be like, oh, do I go to the Fed? Do I go to WrestleMania? Do I win a championship? And I'm like, no, you get to dress up as Aquaman and wrestle in front of a bunch of nerds. And then I just disappear and leave young Cory Kastle to ponder that.
And I'd be like, Aquaman, the guy, the short blonde-haired guy?
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't have blonde hair.
He talks to fish. They call him out by his name. They should do a mashup of she talks to angels, but say she talks to fish and put Aquaman behind it. You know that,
I mean,
that
you can make
Black
that and
Crow
go viral
song?
yourself. There you go.
Yes.
You know Noah's a big fan of you playing Aquaman, right?
Is he?
Yeah, he loves Aquaman. It's like his
I,
favorite
I,
superhero.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
So I
he's
think the sad part about it is normally when it's like show day and stuff, I don't get to spend a ton of time with Noah. And that's like such a change for how it used to be. Whenever like Noah and I were in the same place, we just kind of be like right near each other the whole time and hanging out. But it's not really the way it is anymore. Because he's super busy with all the other things that he's doing, and I'm doing what I'm doing. So we interact for just minutes at a time at those shows.
well, he plays a pretty important role
He
in
does.
cosplay
He does.
wrestling. Yeah, because a lot of times I'll call him and I'm like, no, I got this idea. I got the skeleton for an idea. I just want you to make it happen because
Right.
he's a very creative man. I'm like, here's the gist of what I need you to get over. You make it happen, and then he does it. He does a phenomenal job at it. Yeah,
He's for sure creative genius, and I mean
yeah.
I'd say that about Noah any day of the week, no matter who I'm talking to. I always give Noah super amounts of credit for making me the comedic mind that I am. I think that I owe a lot of like doing like kind of understanding stand-up comedy a little bit more. I owe a little bit of that to Noah. I mean, when I even say a little bit of that, I mean probably a good chunk of that to Noah, and how much he kind of like recognized and took me under his wing back in 2008 or something in comedy. So I'm grateful all the time for that.
Yeah, have you ever seen him do comedy at those conventions?
I have not. No, I have not watched him do comedy at those conventions, but I have been with him. This is 10 plus years ago. I've been with him when he's done comedy at other events like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've only really seen him do comedy at the conventions, and he kills it every time, dude. He's so good.
Hey, he knows his audience.
Yeah, he knows his audience. He hasn't done it in a while.
That he has that no one can like. It's like almost like it's like in his nature to know his audience. It's like that's like kind of like marinated in with fully cooking the presentation that is Noah Houlihan.
Man, like definitely a guy who deserves some kind of break of some kind. You know what I mean? In something. Like if you just gave him, if someone would give him the ball in something, like he'd run with it.
It'll come. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. I'm not even doubting of it for a second.
Right.
Like Noah will get his big break, and everyone will know who he is. So what is something that you like in any kind of interviews or anything that you've never been asked that you'd wish that someone had asked you?
Dude, I don't get too many interviews. That's the thing. Like I did that kid, and then I did like Noah's thing, which was like really good. I don't remember much about it because that was so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
when you were drunk. You were drunk the whole time.
You know, that's the only way I can face Noah is intoxicated.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You see.
So, have you practiced in the mirror answering questions?
The one question that
interesting. You should ask that question. It's a great question. I've always wanted to be asked that.
Well, the one question that like I still is hard for me to answer if someone did ask me, like, "Oh, how'd you come up with cosplay pro wrestling?" And I'm like, I don't remember, and I don't want to be like, "Oh, I just thought about it." You know, I'm just I just print money. This right here, nothing but dollar bills, just from here right out of my mouth. You know what I mean?
Well, I think a good answer to that would be like, let me give you an answer for next time somebody were to ask you that question.
Okay.
I saw that as being something that should have existed, so I made it exist. These fans would like this. So why not present it to them?
Yeah. The thing is, I had an in with a convention, and I wasn't doing much in wrestling at the time, and I was like, oh man, what if I could bring wrestling to a convention? And I was like, they wouldn't like it. And I was like, but what if we like dressed up as the characters, and we were just the characters and not, first name last name guy versus other first name last name guy. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, I mean,
even when I did the first show, I was like, oh man, are people gonna come to this? Are people gonna like this? And it was a huge hit. You didn't work the very first one, did you? I don't think you did.
I don't think so.
No, the first one was at this convention that no longer exists anymore called KatoriCon. Okay. Right? It was a real rinky-dink small one at I believe it was the Gloucester College, right? And they put us on a theater stage. I don't know if you've ever seen like wrestling rings on theater stages. Like I know it's a very rare thing. Yeah. So we were on like
I think NXT did that at like Temple or something. I can't remember where, but I think they did somewhere in Philly.
Yeah, they put us on a theater stage, and like they were about to open the doors, and people just came flooding in and filled it. And I was like, oh my god, people came to see this. And I was like, all right, well, hopefully they like it, because I think it was right when CM Punk walked out on WWE, that era of like wrestling was real dull, and then that happened. You know what I mean? Like, what year was that? Like 2013?
12 maybe?
Yeah, 12 or 13. I think it happened in like late 2012, and then like the show that we did was 2013. And like, I'm gonna ask you, do you remember anything in wrestling in like 2012 and 2013? Can you name me one thing that happened? Any company, CM Punk leaving? That was it.
No,
exactly.
Man, I think what CM Punk did was it can't be denied. What CM Punk did was he let everybody kind of respect John Cena as a wrestler, and no one had done that. No one would say like, "Oh, John Cena is a good wrestler." And I think CM Punk showed John Cena how to be a good wrestler, and then the world got to see and appreciate John Cena for the good worker that he is.
That's fair. But well, like when we did the show, like people, like we only did like 4 matches. It was a little 1-hour show, and like people loved it. And I was like, oh man, this is great. Like, because I remember the main event, we had this one guy dressed up as Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, and Problem Child Tony dressed up as one of the Assassin's Creed assassins. I don't know if you've heard of that game.
I've played Assassin's Creed.
Okay, so he was Connor Kenway, the Native American one. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the main event, and they're killing it, and everybody's loving the show. And I'm behind the curtain with everybody like, oh my god, this is great. This is gonna be the next big thing. We're all gonna be able to make money off this and buy houses, and we're gonna be ready. They love it. So Noah Houlihan, a few weeks before the show, had a genius idea, because he's a genius, as we've both talked about. He was like, what if there was a spot where Connor Kenway, the Assassin's Creed character, covers his opponent in hay, a bunch of hay, right? And then he goes to the top rope and does like a swanton into it, like in the video games. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you jump off the building and you land in the bale of hay. He's like,
it's like think of the fall.
Yeah. He's like, think of the pop. And I was like, Noah Houlihan, that is the greatest goddamn idea I've ever heard. So like, I went to, I think like a local Walmart, and they had like, you ever seen those little display bales of hay that you can put on your lawn for like Halloween?
Yeah, my mom has them outside of her house right now.
Right. Like real tiny. They're like this big, like that big. So I buy one, and I bring it to the show. And like right before the show, now we're behind a stage. You've been behind a stage to the side before. It's really dark, right? And I had my 2 friends there, and I was like, guys, like while I'm doing other stuff, I'm like, guys, take this bale of hay. And I brought like shears, and I was like, just chop it up out of the wiring or whatever, or cut the wiring and put it in this trash bag, and because we're gonna use it later. And they're like, no problem, Mike, got that. So show's going on, and it's getting time for that spot, right? So Problem Child walks off stage and all the way into the darkness that I haven't seen, and grabs that trash bag of hay, and he's pulling it towards the ring, and I can finally see it. It's like overflowing the trash bag. And I was like, that's a lot of hay. I didn't think it was that much for a little tiny bale of hay. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Brings it in the ring, dumps it on the guy, goes to the top. People are chanting "Leap of Faith." Jumps into it, huge pop, right? And I'm like, this is the next big thing. This will go viral. Blah 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 blah, right? They finished their match. There was an after thing with Team Rocket. You know, everybody's happy. We're all high five when we did this thing that never really had been done before. But here's the thing: there's hay everywhere. Like the ring canvas, it was Big Slam's 20 by 20 ring. You ever been in that thing, or you ever been in a 20 by 20? Like there's hay. You can't see the canvas anymore. It's like on the stage.
They had a 20 by 20 on the stage.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a huge stage, and like
that's
the bale of hay covered this little tiny compacted thing of hay, chopped up, just covered the canvas, and now it's all leaking on the floor, and we're slipping and sliding because there was like a battle royal afterwards, right? And like show's done, we're all like high five, and we did it. This is great. We can't wait to do the next one. And the woman who ran the whole thing comes up to me, and she's like scared, angry. Have you ever seen something like scared? And like she's like, what's all this hay doing here? You can't just have that. She's like, and I'm like, oh, it's for the stage. She's like, no, you like, there's stage lights. It might catch that on fire, or someone might have like an allergy and get sick. And I'm like, oh no.
somebody will get hay fever.
Yeah, like because like the dust, you can see all the dust particles coming up, and like and like even the room smelled like it now. This theater room smelled like it real bad. Okay. So they're like tearing it down, and I grab like a broom, and I'm like trying to clean it up as fast as possible, right? And then I saw that woman the next day, and she was like, "Hey, it's no harm, no foul." And I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry about that. I won't let that happen again." And then she never brought us back.
Of course, we lost the venue.
Well, no, she kept beating around the bush. I can talk more openly. I would always kind of do the politically correct thing and never bash this woman, but she would constantly give me a runaround saying like, "Oh, we'll just move it to a different place in the college," or like somebody else is using the gymnasium, and then the con shut down because it was small and never got any bigger. So but that genius Noah Houlihan who came up with that hay spot,
he lost you the building.
He lost me the building. Like, and we never did the spot. We never did the spot again.
Does the state get on you too, like real hard about, like, I know Pennsylvania is real shitty about like needing a doctor and stuff is at a show, and like a licensing and
that's not
insurance and all that stuff. It's so weird. Like there should be a way to like kind of like sidestep that a little bit, because
wasn't that what that sanctuary dude does in PA?
Yeah, but I mean, like
he like removes the bottom rope and calls it a stunt show.
Yeah, I mean that's deceiving, and I'm not trying to deceive anybody. I'm just saying like this is fun. This is this is cosplay wrestling. Like we're not doing an athletic display. We're doing this play. Like it's,
well, I just got to change the W to something else. What's the cosplay? The
cosplay
workers.
Sissy boy slap fight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I told you at when we did Anime Next this past year, I was like, guys, they're not into wrestling. Stop wrestling. Like they don't want wrestling. They want characters, Dude,
and then we went to they would pop like an audience, like a wrestling audience would pop. So I mean,
no, they definitely liked it. They definitely liked it. But like then we went to too many games the next week, and they liked the wrestling. So it was
it's a weird roll of the dice to find out what those fans like and what they don't.
Well, they were also like younger kids. I think they maybe wanted more anime characters, and I should have given them more anime characters. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it was Anime Next, though, right?
Yeah, but we gave them like because remember we were in Atlantic City, we only gave them like half and half.
Mm-hmm.
So,
are you a fan of anime?
I've said this many times about it. Like, there's like 90% of it's like not worth watching. And then there's like a 10% of it you're like, no, that told a good story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I feel like maybe it's just like just I've been traumatized too much, but I feel like somehow like anime always has given me like a headache and made me not feel good. Like I like too
too
much
much stuff
flashing
flashing.
lights.
Yeah,
Too much,
yeah.
like
There,
like
that's not all of it. That's really not all of it, but
yeah,
like,
but I feel like that when anything is on, I just feel that same unease. Like as soon as anime is on, I feel that same unease of like, oh man, remember the headaches I would get when Beatles the Yellow Submarine would come on? I feel that same unease when anime comes on.
yeah.
The only one I think I've watched fully, and I've been told this doesn't count, but somehow I've been told it counts too. I've watched Avatar. I've watched that full series, but that's the only like anime that I've actually
Because you were
watched.
in the movie technically. So
Yes, yes.
did you only watch it because you were in the movie or you were about to be in the movie? Like,
No, no, no. While we were filming the movie, I was watching the series because
okay.
I guess the scene that we were doing was I guess the showdown at the Northern Water Tribe, which is like I guess the end of the first season of
I
the
think
show.
so. Yeah.
And I was curious to see like the build up and why this was happening. And then I started watching it to find that out. And then I just got hooked and I wanted to continue watching it. So I watched it all the way through the series.
Nice.
But that movie sucked. That movie sucked real bad.
We've done a handful of panels at conventions
Right.
for cosplay
Right.
wrestling, and I'm like, I'll have like a match with you playing on the screen, and we'll give like, I'm like, hey guys, you want to know an interesting fact about this guy right here? He was in the Avatar Last Airbender movie, and then people were like, oh, audible girl. I should really just book you as that character that like just random water
The
tribe
Northern
guy.
Water Tribe soldier number 19.
Yeah, he's the name on the show. He was in the movie. I'll be like, thanks for drawing the house, Cory. Like,
Yeah. You know what? I really did think that I thought that I was going to get more nerd attention through doing the Bruce the 15-minute
oh, that was pretty good.
Batman alternative reality short film. But it happened to come at like right as COVID hit. Like it was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we missed out on all the like convention scenes and all the because like I would have wanted to like take it to conventions and I would have wanted to like take it to film festivals and stuff like that, but it happened right at the time where we were just locked in.
Yeah, I think like the whole comic book Marvel buzz is starting to die down finally. Thank God.
Well,
Like,
are you?
people,
No, you're not watching it. No, I was gonna say, are
oh,
you
dude, like there's
watching?
nothing like
They got the
the
new
movie.
Loki show like new season just started of that.
Is it good? Like,
I like it. I like it. I love like multiverse stuff. Multiverse stuff is fascinating to me. I love like time travel. I love like trying to control time. I love that idea. I like that. That's a part of sci-fi that I think I have the most fun with. I think
now time
that's
travel
why.
can be a great plot device, but it can also be a lazy writing.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
Like
it's
when they
like
did it in the Avengers, that last Avengers movie, because
Mhm.
he's like they're trying to think of a way to fix everything, and Tony Stark's just like, Jarvis, invent time travel, and then he does it, and then they just time travel.
That's pretty lazy.
Yeah, he just like moves a number over on the thing, and he's like, time travel, I got it. Like, all right, cool.
Did you see The Flash?
The newest one,
Yeah.
no, all I've seen is the thing of him putting a baby in a microwave for some reason. Isn't there like
They had him put a baby in a microwave?
is that
Oh yeah, when he was trying to catch the babies falling out of the building.
and he's like looking at this baby, he just puts it in a microwave. I'm like, what is this movie?
Well, it wasn't like
like,
he went to the break room microwave and stuffed a baby in there.
yeah, he was like
Like
on the street or something, and
it
some
was
like
like
lady screams. I'm like,
a baby and a microwave were both falling from a building at the same time.
okay.
And he was putting the baby into the microwave so the baby didn't hit the ground.
Oh, is that the context of the clip?
I think I don't.
Because like some lady screams as he does it. He's like holding the baby. He's like, yeah, yeah, and he like puts it in the microwave and closes it. And like some lady screams. I'm like, what is the plot of this movie? And it has like Michael Keaton Batman in it for like to really draw the audience, I guess.
Dude, it plays with alternate universes and it plays with time travel, and that fascinates me. I love that kind
there
of
was
stuff.
because wasn't it supposed to be the Flashpoint story? I think because there was a
Yeah, like
movie called Flashpoint Paradox. It was a cartoon. Like all those DC cartoon movies are really good. The straight to DVD movies. I don't know
right.
if you've ever seen any. I haven't seen one in a while.
I've seen Batman Doom and no, I'm sorry, I saw Superman Doom
Okay.
and some other Batman ones. The Batman Beyond the Return of the Joker was one of my favorite one of
Yeah, that's a
those.
good one. Yeah, DC can put out like good straight to DVD little cartoon movies.
Right.
Like there was the Flash one where like he just does something to mess up the timeline and he wakes up in an alternative universe. Well, he goes to like save his mom or something because he can just I guess do that. And then like he wakes up in an alternative universe where Bruce Wayne's dad is Batman. And he's like drunk, evil, shooting people Batman. Something and like Aquaman and Wonder Woman are about to go to war, like Atlantis and the Amazon, and like he has to stop that because they're gonna like literally blow up everything or something like
Dude, I
that.
know
It was pretty good.
I know you don't have any streaming services and you're not watching anything, but are you familiar with what The Boys is?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have you watched that show?
I haven't watched any of it. I heard it's pretty decent too. Like,
It's really good. It's
is it?
yeah, I think you would
It's like
enjoy that.
there's the guy. He's like Superman, but he's like kind of evil, sort
Yeah,
of.
Homelander.
Homelander, right?
Yeah, we got to bring Homelander to cosplay pro wrestling.
Yeah, I need so I like. I know one
What a
guy who could probably pull it off. The kid who plays
yeah.
Johnny Cage.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted that same kid to be what was John Cena's character in Suicide Squad with the helmet and
Oh fuck.
Peacemaker or Peacekeeper, something like that.
Peacemaker. Yeah.
Peacemaker. There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, it writes itself. He just wrestled like John Cena, and you just wear that costume, and people will get it.
Mhm. And then every once in a while you can be invisible and we can act like we can't see you.
Yeah, I mean, I just had John Cena Deadpool on a show at the library. People ate it up, and he wrestled CM Pikachu. I'm like, just go out there and mark out, guys. Just have fun.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty easy sometimes. Like I don't want to say it's easy because it's still work, but it's like you're playing a character that everybody here is already sort of familiar with. So it's not like they gotta like invest in you personally.
Yeah, you don't have to get yourself over.
Right.
You're already kind of over.
Yeah,
and they're not wrestling fans, so they're not fickle.
Right.
Like dude, the first show we ever did, someone did like a leapfrog, and people popped like it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like, I love this. This is great.
Leapfrogs, man. Leapfrogs, they're the most over thing.
Because I think when people come to see this show, if they haven't seen it or didn't look it up, they're just like, oh, it's going to be just people who have
Goofing
costumes,
around.
and they're going to just be like shooting shooting lasers, and then they're like, oh, they actually really know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I'm not quite sure how to word what I'm trying to say, but like sometimes other places put people on who never have been trained, and I don't think that's something that you'll do. There is a level of like, all right, we're gonna get you trained. You're not gonna go in there and just figure it all out. That's not how this works.
Yeah,
because you'll embarrass everybody here if you do that.
Yeah, yeah. But what is in 2023? What is getting trained anymore? You know,
and it's,
like when you were ready to have your first match, like how long did that take you for them to be like, all right, whoever it was who trained you? I know you went to the CZW school, right? That was where you, and like you were,
I was trained by John Dahmer and Eddie Valentine.
And Eddie Valentine, no Zandig helping you out there, kid. Like,
No, I mean Zandig taught me some basic things. Yeah, I mean I can't take that credit away from him. I can not like him all I want, but I can't discredit him for having taught me some things. I can't like
because like if you tell people you trained at CZW when it started, people are like, oh, you were trained by Zandig. That's so cool.
no,
He's like the
Zandig
guy
wasn't
who
even
says
trained by
Jesus
anybody.
and because they
Zandig
just
wasn't
know
even
that.
trained by anybody.
I know. You ever seen him do his Ultimate Warrior thing?
Yeah, the icon.
The icon, dude, that's the greatest stuff in the world. That is the
Well, here's the thing. I think when I was training, I was young, man. I was a goofball, and Dahmer and Eddie used to set me up to like prank the shit out of John Zandig all the time. So I don't hold it against him that he didn't like me. I get it. I get it. If I was him, I wouldn't like me either. But they used to always make me put on. There was an icon cape, like it was something I guess John Zandig had in his icon days, and they would make me like put it on and then just go stand and have a conversation with him and talk to him about the mystery flavor of Skittles. Like, so they would put me up to just being like a troll. I would just,
yeah.
they would make me troll John Zandig.
The punchline. You're just the punch.
Yeah. I mean, and
That should have just been your gimmick. They're like, kid, you're just
part
gonna
of
be called the
paying dues.
punchline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your gimmick's kid, you're just gonna be the punchline.
Yeah. You can go piss off John Zandig real quick.
What
Dude,
I never formally met that man. Been in the same
time, he picked me up for a gorilla press slam and then squeezed my balls. Like full on squeezed my
like
balls.
on purpose or just like he's
yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, how is this wrestling? Like as I was going to the ground, I was like, how is this wrestling? I was probably 17 years old or something. I was just a kid, man.
Yeah, didn't know any different. Like, oh, I guess this is what it is. Like, yeah.
But
I mean, could have been worse. Could have like hit you in the nuts with barbed wire or something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could have been way worse. I have to say that. Like from where I came from before that, I mean, I don't really talk about this publicly too often, but the Larry Sharp from Monster Factory had kind of like done some very peripheral training, like early elementary training for John Zandig and for these other two guys. And these other two guys had I guess Larry had kicked them out or something. They were they were a problem. They had drinking and drug problems, and they started their own like wrestling gym, wrestling school.
Yeah.
And it was right around here. It was around my area. So this was also like 1998, which was like the height of the Attitude Era. And they had an ad in the newspaper. So yes, going back to talking about me aging myself, or my first wrestling experience was me responding to an ad I saw in the newspaper. And these guys, they weren't teaching anybody anything. They were just like charging people's parents, like, and it was kids all my age. It was all like teenage, like from, I would say like 10 to 17, like all those ages.
Hey, you want to play in a ring, kids? Like,
right, exactly. It was like
a Chuck E.
kids
Cheese
from 10 to 17 go take bumps in this ring and do whatever you saw on TV, and you're in a school and you're learning how to wrestle. But like they didn't even know how to wrestle, so they couldn't teach you how to do it. But as they're doing it, they're like popping pills and smoking weed and getting drunk, and like then getting in the ring and hurting kids. Oof. And like they used to they had a Singapore canes. We used to call them Singapore canes back in the day, the kendo sticks. And like the guy would always have one on him. A guy would always have one on him, and he would like tell stories, and he would put the kendo stick between his legs, and he would act like it was his dick, and he'd be like, "I know you be fucking her," and like He was disgusting. Yeah, and then like if anybody would walk by him, if you're walking by him, you're in swinging range. He's gonna hit you with the cane. You're gonna get hit with it. Like I have scars from being ripped open. Like he had sliced. Like those canes slice you. So like I mean, well, I'm 14, 15 years old, and I'm just getting beat because this dude feels like doing it, and I'm like, I like dealing with John Zandig was nothing after that.
Yeah.
And at least I was learning how to wrestle for real. But then the guy, Dewey Donovan, the guy who manages Nick Gage now.
Yeah.
Dewey Donovan, I met him there, and he brought me to CZW. And I met Rich there, Rick Feinberg.
Mm-hmm.
I met him there, and then they brought me to the CZW school, and I started learning the real way. And Dewey said to me, "Don't tell anyone you have any wrestling experience. Don't act like what you did there was wrestling experience. You're starting from scratch." So even though I had been in a ring and been taking bumps and hitting ropes for about 2 years before that, before I actually started getting trained the right way, I'm like a year maybe. Mm-hmm. I just acted like I was fresh and brand new because I was actually learning how to wrestle for the first time. And it took me a while, man. I think I didn't pick up on how to be like, I don't know. Like every move took me a while to figure out how to do. Like I was a learning disabled kid, man. I was a sped kid, and I just needed extra attention. And that's what Eddie would give me. Eddie would really help me out with that. And he still talks about it now. He's like, yeah. I mean, you weren't dumb. You just needed extra help. But I was I have pretty bad eyesight, so like I had to get contacts. That sometimes my contact lenses would fall out because I wasn't experienced with them, or sometimes like I couldn't get them in, and I'd have to wrestle, and I can't really see anybody, and I'd feel like I was like kind of wrestling blind.
It's got the Velma gimmick.
Yes, exactly.
The Velma from like, hey, where's that guy? I just saw him right there a second ago. Like every match is basically just a blindfold match for you. Like, is he this way? Make noise if he's that way. Like, but yeah, basically you would say like it took you like a year from like when you started at CZW to when you had your first match on a show in front of people.
Yeah, probably. And
that seems about right, because that was what it like. I tell people, I'm like, you should really train for like a year. I mean, granted, if you're just like great at this stuff, like you just get it, then sure, I guess you could have one in like 5 to 6 months.
Right.
With someone who's a vet.
Some people are real outliers in that. Like I'd say, like my friend Lou, he was training for like 6 months before he had his first match in the WWF in the 90s. Like, it was a different time.
Well, yeah, you even hear about like super old school guys, but they just like taught me some punches and stuff and a hold, and then I was in the ring, and I'm like they would even just kayfabe you on the training. Like, I guess.
Yeah, like it's
weird industry that we like. There's no like official way to do it.
Getting smartened up is a tough one.
Yeah,
it's rough to know when you're being smartened up and when you're screwing up, and no one's telling you.
Like, because I've wrestled a lot of green kids in the last like 3 years. Like, even the kid this kid I just because when you go to GTS, like almost anybody can pretty much go there. And if you tell Grim like, hey man, I have like almost no experience or no experience, just can you teach me as I go? He'll put you in like little, like he'll let you be a referee, you know what I mean? Or if you tell him like, hey, I know how to just take a bump, but I really don't know anything else, you like say get to be just the one punched guy and you're just J-Bro, right? And there was and I had to like, and I got to work with a lot of those kids, and I was like, listen, if you just listen to me and just do what I tell you, and it's gonna be very easy. And I dragged a lot of kids who were very green there through decent matches, and Grim's like, wow, I was really good. It's some of the best stuff that kid's ever done. And I'm like, yeah, because I've just gone the Ric Flair route of being like, of just like bumping for everybody and just being a heel.
Dude, because like it's a proud badge of honor to be like somebody who can give somebody the best match they've ever had and they're like brand new, or like teach them how, like, what being over feels like.
Yeah.
Like it's rare. It's rare air to breathe. I don't think many people can do it.
Yeah, like I had at the library show I just did, I gave this kid his first match in front of like a live audience, and he'd been going. He had some kind of MMA training. I don't know if he's like a jiu-jitsu guy or just all kinds of, like, he goes to a dojo and he still does it. He has like an actual black belt, and like they had me work with him a few times there. And like I went up to the kid and I'm like, "So you have like shoot credentials, right?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, so you know not to actually hit me, right?" Like, because anytime you hear someone who has like shoot credentials, it's like this is a work. Like you don't actually hit the guy. And they're like, "Yeah, I got it." And like usually you ended up getting like roundhouse kick to the head for real. Like I'm sure you've seen that before.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
this
and I was
kid
the only
that
thing.
used to work at Rebels, at Rebels school. His shows that he used to run at the school, and he was a black belt or something, and he would definitely potato the hell out of people.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
he's a good kid, and like I had a few matches with him. I said, "Hey, kid, if you get a Ryu costume from Street Fighter, because he had short black hair and he had like martial arts skills, and I was like, yo, you be Ryu, and I'll do Bane from Batman. We'll just have a quick little match." And we did it, and went over pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's so thankful. He's like, "Hey, man, thank you so much. That was great." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Yeah, man, just keep it up. Like, just don't actually hit anybody, because that's the only thing I ever get like scared of." I'm like, "Oh, he's got black belt. Like, this could be really bad."
We are dream facilitators. We are dreamers selling dreams to dreamers.
Yeah.
And I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Like I had to do that a few times. But
So just a few more quick things, and then I'll send you off into the sunset with a hot dog and a handshake. And it's weird for me to say that now, because I just saw a thing on, in my deep dive, my YouTube rabbit hole, that they've found human DNA in hot dogs. They've found human DNA in hot dogs.
like Oscar Mayer, Hebrew National.
It didn't say the brand.
They didn't
but,
want to. They don't. Well, a hot dog is just a mesh of other crap, right?
I'm just more and more cautious of hot dogs than I used to be.
Was like a stem cell thing, or just you didn't read the? I'm assuming you didn't read the article.
I don't want to get a taste for human meat. Did you ever see that episode? It's Only Sun in Philadelphia. Human meat. Like, I don't want to get a taste for human meat.
Neither do I.
Know what that gamey tastes like.
Are we red meat? Are we considered red meat, white meat? What do you think? Are we just other?
It depends. I guess it would depend on how you'd cook the human meat.
Well, I mean, if you're on a bulk, I guess like that's enough protein and calories. Like,
yeah, it depends on your calorie intake and
like one human being. But
so a part of me wanting to start this show, I definitely wanted to be, and I've said it on here a bunch of times. Stop me if you've heard it. When I first started, my mom came to me telling me about how she had a CD burnt of these voicemails from her best friend and from her mom, who had both passed, and she wanted these voicemails kept on the record, because she was like, how like when somebody dies and you kind of forget what their voice sounds like, and I was like, yeah, but I don't want that for me. Like, I want to make sure I have conversations on the record with people where I tell them how I truly feel about them. I tell them, like, so they can always go back and listen to this and know on the record, I told you that you're special to me and you mean something. And I want to make sure that Mike, like, for shoot, no matter what happens, I'm always here. You can always go to me as a resource. Don't ever feel like you don't have any friends. You don't have anybody who could listen to you. If you have something going on, please don't ever hesitate to ask me for any advice on anything, or any questions, or dude, don't feel ever like judged by me. So ask me any judgment-free question and I'll have a judgment-free conversation with you. And I want to make sure I set the record.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I think it's been an interesting journey, man. I've been pleased to know you this long.
Yeah,
And
you've since basically 2007, 8. Because I guess I was either 16 when you first, like, when you told me that thing about like the gear, and we worked out a little bit before
mhm.
it was like a old folks home in Vineland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like a vet
yeah,
build. It was like a
yeah, yeah,
VFW or something.
yeah. And I wrestled Tommy Force. Remember that
Oh
old
yeah,
guy? And I
oh
think
yeah,
you
the big
wrestled.
Canadian guy.
Yeah, I think he's like Puerto Rican in real life, like half Puerto Rican, half white. And he's like, actually, he's like, I'm
I
from
know
Canada.
nothing else about the guy. I could trip over him and not know who he was.
Yeah,
Like, unfortunately, my
yeah,
brain doesn't retain everybody's appearance.
yeah. And I think you worked a kid called Kid Chaos was his name.
Mm.
I don't.
I
I
think I
think
did
that's,
something with G's on that show.
or maybe it was that one. 'Cause I remember they did
Uh,
two of them there. They did two.
It might have been Chaos, Kid Chaos, and G's in like a triple threat or something. Uh,
Maybe,
But
but
I think what the thing was, man. I, I think anybody is a representation of who trained them, right? So I look at like me walking around and me making a name for myself in wrestling as being something that is a representation of the men who trained me. So I'm a representation of John Dahmer and Eddie Valentine everywhere I go from now on. Those are my coaches. They taught me how to be a man and how to be a professional wrestler. Like that's something that I I'll never shed that. The same way when I met you, I knew you were a product of JoJo, and I always loved him. I always thought he had a good head on his shoulders, and I knew that he would put the good lessons in on you. So
yeah, it was.
I knew you'd be trained the right way. So
Yeah,
you kind of almost came into it having his badge of approval.
yeah, it was him, Tommy Force, and Joey Spades. Those are the three guys who showed up a lot to his little thing. But yeah, man, like I was 16.
I barely remember Tommy, and I barely remember Joey. I know I've
Yeah,
done stuff
no, of
with
them.
Joey, but I remember really liking him. I remember thinking he was a really cool guy, but I don't
Yeah,
remember too much about him at all.
it's okay. But yeah, like that show, I was 16.
Mhm.
I am 31 now.
What a journey.
Yeah. To be like, you're like, hey man, what you wear is very important, so get gear. And I'm like, okay, I'll dress up like superheroes and supervillains and comic book characters and wrestle in front of a bunch of nerds. Like that's gear, right? Like, so
Well, did you have any like, while we're on the record, anything you wanted to ask me? Anything you want to tell me? Any moments that pop out that you want on the record? Because this stuff's outliving us, bro.
that you gotta teach me how to do the thing. I can't. This is over with me, brother. This
I
I
think
can't.
that
I can
that's
never
it.
do it as good as you.
It's
That could have.
okay. It's okay for you to do it just as well as you do it.
No, like you. I remember JoJo's kids walking around his house trying to do that thing you did. Like I
Well,
remember seeing kids doing. I was like, this could have been a thing on TV. You could. That's what I'm just saying. You could have. That's a TV thing.
dude,
You know.
I'm totally happy to have made those impressions, and
Yeah.
then it's funny to think about it, like, because like everything feels so small, like while you're in it,
Yeah.
but like later on, you're like, oh, those people could grow up to remember that for the rest of their lives. So I'm happy to have just this
Yeah.
little
That's.
thing that I started doing this at rock concerts.
Yeah.
I just was like doing that when I was at rock concerts.
People are like,
I
what's wrong with him? Can't he just do this? Like,
right. His fingers are having a seizure.
yeah, the guy, the singer of Metallica, what's wrong with that one guy in the front row? God, like,
What? I mean, just going like that started getting boring, and I wanted to like do something with it.
yeah,
And I for sure, I'm not a mosher. It's not a thing I want to ever do.
nah, just stick to
I felt like
comedy and
if I wanted to get physical with people, I wanted it to be a show. I didn't want to
right.
do it. I didn't want to do it and have no one see it and it be forgettable.
Yeah. You stick to comedy and whatnot.
Right.
Which is that's something that you told me I gotta try that at some point, and eventually I will. I would like to at least give it like one college try, as they say.
Well,
Because I mean I am Jewish, so I should immediately be great at it, right? That's how that works.
Jews are the funniest comedians, man.
Yeah.
Some of the
No
best
matter
like
what, I should
comedy.
be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Right.
I like to be I take it as a compliment when like other comics will be like, "Oh, I thought you were Jewish this whole time." And I'm like, "I don't know why, but I love it." And they're like, "Well, it's just like you're over analytical. You analyze everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess that's pretty Jewy of me."
Yeah. I don't know. I'll just be the next Don Rickles.
I love it. Have you been listening to any podcasts? Do you listen to any other podcasts at all?
Like full podcast, and I'll listen to like the clips. You know how everybody has like the podcast, and they have like the clips.
All right.
That's like a thing I guess Joe Rogan started, where he'd have like the YouTube channel with like the full thing, and then it would be like the clips of it. So yeah, I'll listen to a lot of people's like clips. You know, whether it be like all the different, the 100 different wrestling ones, because I'm like, oh, what went on in wrestling today? I'm like, what did Eric Bischoff have to say about Dynamite? Or oh, Cornette didn't like something. I'll listen to it.
Dude, I love Cornette. I listen. I never miss an episode. I listen to every full episode of Jim Cornette like multiple times.
Yeah, I just don't want to like stop paying attention to this. Sometimes I'll just like, because there'll be like kind of deadish moments where like they'll go into commercials. You know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, let me get the meat. I don't need the the fluff. But like, yeah, I'll listen to like everybody, even Vince Russo's stuff. I was listening to a lot of Joey Diaz's podcast, like fully, like a couple of years ago, because I just never listened to any of it. Like he would always show up on like Joe Rogan's thing. I was like, oh, he has his own thing too.
Right.
So I listened to like his at one point.
The church.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to that a lot, and then COVID came and he stopped doing them.
Well, he moved back to Jersey, and
he moved back to Jersey, and he switched it to Uncle Joey's Joint. That was his new podcast, and I think he just recently switched it back to the church. So it's a good show. It's pretty cool. Did you see the clips of Ric Flair on Kill Tony?
Oh, on Kill Tony.
Like,
was that the thing he walked off on?
Yeah.
That was he like walked off on it or something. I saw.
Yeah.
For what reason?
He was so drunk. He was ridiculously drunk.
I thought they were like ribbing him. I was like, was this like a roast or something? I'm like, what is this?
The theme of the show is they have comics come, and they're going to perform their best 60 seconds of comedy. They're going to do their best 60 seconds of comedy, and there's a panel of comics who are going to like hear them and critique them. And a lot of times it's going to just be them kind of roasting them, because a lot of them are just open micers and they suck. Right. So like the one guy was like a high school wrestling coach. And they were roasting that guy. And then Ric Flair like got into his feels about how his son was an amateur wrestler, and he was like, my son died of a heroin overdose, and then like the piano player and the band started playing the sad music from the Incredible Hulk. And he was like, I didn't sign up for this, I'm out of here, and he left. But before that, he was already all drunk, and he was like falling asleep the whole time. Like he was embarrassing. But the co-host, our co-host, me and Rick's co-host on Wrestle Rock, Mark Kaubacher, he is a bartender at that club now, where they shoot that the Comedy Mothership, Joe Rogan's comedy club. and he was texting, like he texted us that like the second that it came out, and he was telling us about it while it was happening. He was like taking pictures with Ric Flair that day and sending them to us.
Nice.
So like I kind of had a little bit of the inside scoop on that. He said that there was probably 30 or 40 minutes that got cut out of the video of that podcast that came out on
immediately
YouTube.
Try to get in contact with Meltzer and sell it to him, sell him the story to some dirt sheet guy, whatever you know.
You know what? I wish some dirt sheets would be paying attention to me. I would love that.
Well, do something controversial. I don't know.
You know what? I'm going to say something controversial right now. Dirt sheets, pick this up. Make sure you pick this up. In 2009, I was an extra in WWE. I did Capital Punishment, the one in Washington D.C. And I did Survivor Series. I did like a couple Raws and SmackDowns and stuff like that. And the whole time I was there, everybody was nice to me, except for Tyler Rex. And Tyler Rex has recently come out as a transgender person. Regardless of your gender, you're a fucking asshole. Run that story.
Put that behind a paywall.
Yeah. Because
you know you click the link and then it's like, if you want to read the full thing, you have to, you know.
Yeah.
Or you can just be one of those guys who's like, you just re-report other people's stuff. It's like, well, Dave Meltzer reported this, and then you know. And
the thing was like, because I was on like a 2 or 3 day ring, right? And I showed up at the show, and one of the other guys who I did extra stuff with like the day before was there talking to Tyler Rex, and like I like waited for them to like finish talking, and I just went up and I shook my hand and I was like, "Hey, Tukey, what's up, man?" I hadn't seen him, like I saw him yesterday. It was cool to see him again. And I was like, "Hey, man," and then I like introduced myself to the other guy, Tyler Rex, and then I like walked away, and then from across the room, it was like a loading bay out like in the back of whatever arena we were at. Tyler Rex goes, "Hey," and I look over and he goes, "Don't quit your day job." And he screamed that and embarrassed me in front of everybody. Oof. And I was like, you know, I was told that I was going to be watched this whole time. Like I remember going into it, like the whole like weeks leading up to it, they were like, "Oh, you're going to watch every move you make. They're going to watch. Somebody's going to be watching you like a hawk with everything you do." And I was like, wouldn't they also be watching that guy? Like, I guess nobody's watching, because as soon as he did that, I was just like, I just did like a
was do you think he was talking to you? Were you like around people? Like
there's nobody. Nobody was he said, "Hey," and I looked, and then he said, "Don't quit your day job." Nobody else. Nobody. He didn't say anybody's name. He didn't say like specifically, "Hey, you over there with the man bun." He was like, just, "Hey," and then I looked, and he said, "Don't quit your day job." And then in my head, I was like, "Joke's on you. I don't have a day job."
I didn't even drive myself here.
Yeah, Noah drove me here.
Didn't Noah drive you to one of those?
Yeah.
Like you're.
Yeah.
What did you?
I was definitely, and I say it constantly. I was for sure unprepared. I was unprepared for any of the success that I like resent for not getting. I was unprepared for it at the time that I could have gotten it. So I can't resent the business. I can't resent anyone. I have to be accountable to that for sure.
Well, let me ask you a question. You were handed pay for doing that, right? So you were paid for this, right?
Right.
Was it a cash or a check?
It was a check.
Okay, and it said Vincent Kennedy McMahon on it, right? Or World Wrestling. And do you remember
by any chance? Sure. I have the copy of it still somewhere.
Okay. Well, because I was told this a lot in the beginning, and I tell this to kids now, and I'm like, if you've never been handed a check that said Vincent Kennedy McMahon on it, who the fuck are you?
Right. Yeah.
And like you had more than one technically handed to you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I guess you're a fucking like. So I guess when Cory Kastle gives advice or says something, I'm like, well, even if it was just extra work, like multiple extra works, you weren't just like, you know, Undertaker Druid number 5. You know.
Yeah, I stood in the background of a Batista promo and a CM Punk promo and a Vicky Guerrero promo, standing in the back, just going
security.
Thumbs twiddled.
You didn't get a line? No line?
No line.
No, damn. If only we've gotten a line.
CM Punk turned to me and he said, "Hey, don't quit your day job." And I was like, "Oh, this was that guy rehearsing our scene that you and I were going to do." But that dude wasn't on the show either. So kick rocks, buddy. Are we? Would it be dead naming a trans person if you name the gimmick name that they used?
Tyler Rex doesn't still wrestle, right? Like,
no, he's just.
I don't even remember Tyler Rex when he did wrestle. I can't name you a match he had. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm like, I don't remember the guy at all. Like what was Tyler Rex's moment? Like, did he have like a lot? Like, did he?
He was a some part
SmackDown?
of what the WWECW sort of rebrand was supposed to be, and there was nothing special about him. Normally, when there's nothing special about you, you just turn yourself into an ugly chick. I get it. Go ahead, buddy. I'm not. I mean, you're an asshole whether or not you're a boy or a girl. Like, I just
not to
pick that up on the dirt sheets.
Not to play devil's advocate, but that's probably one of those moments where it was like Tyler Rex did that, and he was like, "Oh, I hope Undertaker's watching," or somebody like, see, yeah, fuck that guy.
I dressed down an extra on this show.
Yeah. Something like that.
They always say the etiquette of wrestling. They always say, like, be nice to the people on the way up because you're going to meet them on the way down. And like, you weren't even on your way up or you weren't on your way down, but now you're just some ugly chick and you're irrelevant.
Yeah.
So pick that up on the dirt sheets. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe you'll end up doing a celebrity boxing fight against Tyler. You know, like how there's like Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis or whatever. That's the real pro wrestling now, is just that, like, work shoot boxing fights, because you know.
Yeah, like Damon. Like, we could go work for Damon. Right?
Oh,
we did Feldman. That together back in the day in Atlantic City.
I got to meet Angelina from the Jersey Shore because of him.
Oh, she was there?
Did you do the one? You didn't do the one in Massachusetts. Okay.
No.
He did his celebrity boxing thing, and the main event was the girl who won Frank the Entertainer. I forget her name. There was some show called Frank the Entertainer, like, and like all these girls are like competing to date him or something, and she won. It was a VH1 show.
Okay.
I think her name was like Carrie. I don't know. She was the girl who won, and she boxed an actual amateur boxer, and the special guest referee was Angelina from the Jersey Shore. And like, I had never watched. What's up?
Did they have like the big cartoon size boxing gloves?
Yeah.
Because like, that's not celebrity boxing. That's like
they had pro wrestling on the card to use wrestling insurance to work the whole thing.
Right.
And I had never seen anything from Jersey Shore at this point. Right. I don't know if you watched the show at all when it was on.
Oh, I'm obsessed with it.
Oh yeah.
I know all the characters. I watch every episode. I DVR it and I watch it all the time.
Is it still on?
Yeah.
Don't they have like spinoff? Like, it's been done, but they have like spinoffs.
It's called Jersey Shore Family Vacation now.
Okay, so it is still. I didn't know that.
I don't even know how many seasons it's in, but it's been a lot. It's been on for a really long time.
Well,
I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it during lockdown. I binged watched a whole bunch of it during lockdown.
They put them in the Wawa pizza ad, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh hey, they're older now. I remember you guys. Like, but yeah, like they rented JoJo's ring. They let us, me and JoJo and a few guys wrestle for the wrestling insurance. And we had never seen Jersey Shore at this point, ever. Like, I've heard of it, obviously, because it was popular. But when the Angelina girl comes out, the girl got kicked off from season 1. Like, the level of nuclear heat this woman got when she walked in the room was, like, so baffling to me and JoJo and everybody. We're like, what did this woman do to make these people, like, make these people so mad? And, like people are, like, throwing, like, tampon pads at her. We had no idea what this was a reference to.
Oh, shit.
So when we got
I don't know what that's a reference to either.
So when we got home to JoJo's house, I stayed the night there after it was all done, and we drove back to Jersey. We woke up, and JoJo's like, his wife's like making breakfast for everybody, and he's flipping through the channels, and he sees like Jersey Shore's on MTV, and he's like, we got to see what this is all about, right? And like, he got super hooked on that show. Like, he went back and watched the first season all the way up and just kept. I don't know if he still watches it to this day, but like I was like, oh my god,
hope so.
This is like
I hope so. Yeah, me and him should talk about that.
Yeah,
we could do a whole Jersey Shore special episode.
Yeah, dude, him and his wife got super into that show. I watched it too a little bit because it's like a train wreck you can't look away from. People are like, this is stupid. I'm like, that's the point.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you can't believe that these are real people.
Alyssa watches it too, and she gets so like wrapped up in, and she's like, oh my god, I can't believe that. And I'm like, this stuff is the same amount of a work as what we do.
Oh,
like
true.
True. And she was like, oh, can you believe he would do that? I'm like, I can believe it. Yes.
I mean, the early, like, I think from when it first started, because that's back when they wouldn't like fully work those people. Because obviously when they're doing the confession thing and they're talking to the camera, they're having an interview.
Right.
And they're telling them like, hey man, did you hear Cory called you a bitch? And they're like, who the fuck does Cory think he is? Blah, blah, blah. And then all they put on TV is, who the fuck does Cory think he is? And they go back into the house, and then you two start arguing because they're just getting riled up and going back into this house. Because if you just put a bunch of people in a house, it's not that interesting. You have to like fuck with them.
Did I ever tell you the story of when I was when I went to Chicago to do Jerry Springer?
Yes.
And
then maybe Gabby told me it.
Yeah, and Gabby,
because you and Gabby were supposed to be cousins who were like,
yeah, they were like, stupid. But whatever it was, the producers would talk to either all of us, me and Gabby and Liz. We presented this story, and they were like, so then what if she says this, what would you say? Like, it was that's kind of I think that's how they probably structure the reality element of the show, is like they're in the interview process, they're cutting out that the producer's saying, what would you say if I were to say that this person said this or did this? Like, and they're just, whatever their version of that would be, they just turn it up to 11 because personalities sell TV shows.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was I don't know if you'd heard of Fish Tank. Did you hear about that one? It was like a year ago. It was like an internet show where they put a bunch of people in a house for 3 months and they couldn't leave or have cell phones or anything. They couldn't have cell phones, TV, internet, nothing. Like, they have no contact to the outside world, and they just made them compete in like challenges and stuff for like 3 months to win money. And they got they were all just like the most awkward kids ever, like Gen Z kids.
That's funny. No,
and you could like see all the, like, you could switch through the different cameras of the house.
So
they had
so what was the reason for the tampons and the pads then?
Oh, I think she just like left the dirty one like in the bathroom or something like that. Like,
that was the storyline on the show.
Yeah, they were like, "You're disgusting." Like,
who do you think? Do you think the promoters like showed up with a bag of tampons or a box of tampons?
No.
And
it was like a small section
of the audience. No. Here you go. When she comes out, you go ahead and throw these at her.
It was like a small section of women who I guess specifically came there to harass her for that. But I'm like, this is such good heat.
It actually it's such good heat that I think it needs to be stolen. I think we need to pass out Tads and Pampons.
Hey man, Snooki got a WrestleMania match out of that show, so
oh yeah, dude.
So,
That's I think it's less my goal to be on WrestleMania. Sure, I that's everybody's dream to do to have a WrestleMania match or whatever. But I think it's probably more realistic to think that like somebody who I've affected or somebody who I've helped train along the way makes it to WrestleMania and has me there as their guest. And that's important to me. But like, even if it's Snooki, but like, man, I've been paying dues and taking bumps for 24 years. And, I just laugh about the WrestleMania moments that go to people who have no interest in it. It's just a cash grab for them.
Yeah, I mean, that as cool as that would be, I'm like, that paycheck would probably be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think
like I don't have any like super big aspirations for wrestling anymore than to, like, can I get like paid to do this at least? Like, can I make some money just so I can justify, like, people like, oh, you do that silly thing. I'm like, well, it pays bills.
I definitely want to make an impact. I want to change.
Oh, they have a show for
perception.
that. It's called Impact Wrestling. You ever heard of it?
I want to change like some of the policies and some of the way that the business is operated and the optics of it on at least on like an independent level.
Mhm.
Because like the way pro wrestling in the mainstream is perceived is not, it's embarrassing.
It's culturally irrelevant.
Yeah, it's like,
That's what because
it's too fake to care about.
I tell that to people all the time. Like, we're culturally irrelevant, and that's really hard to fight. You're almost impossible to fix.
You can't kick out of that.
Yeah, because like I tell people, what do you mean culturally relevant? I'm like, okay. I was like, you heard of Joe Rogan and his podcast, right? They're like, oh, absolutely. I'm like, everybody's like, yeah, I know Joe Rogan and he has a podcast and who he is, right? And I'm like, does that man or does that man not always shit on pro wrestling unless he has a wrestler in the room? Because when he has a wrestler on the show, he's like, oh yeah, tell me about it. But usually he's like, that stuff's fake and it's offensive and I hate it and blah 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 blah. Right?
Well, I mean, I've heard him say good and bad things. Mostly like the bad part of what I've heard him say about it.
I've literally heard him say like, it's offensive to me. And like crap on it, like really not just saying like, I don't really like it. I like my martial arts. I think that's like, he'll just be like, it's offensive. I don't like this. And then you have like all these people who are such marks for him and listen to everything he says and buy all his like, ayahuasca, brain chew, whatever dollar, buy all the products that he shows. And yes, whatever you say, Mr. Rogan, I'll do it, blah, blah, blah. And then like, then you ask all those people, like, do you like pro wrestling? They're, hell no, I don't like that. It's stupid and offensive to me. That's what I mean by cultural. Like, that man's culturally relevant, and he tells people this is offensive, so people are going to be like, correct. He's that he wouldn't lie to me. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by culturally irrelevant. Like, that's just one example I can give. Like,
right,
because everybody's heard of him, and people hang off his every word.
Right.
Now, but Joe Rogan like, all of a sudden
he gives it its roses when it's like convenient to him.
Absolutely.
So like, for sure, he hasn't had any modern wrestlers on because modern wrestlers are a parody to the business. But like when he has wrestlers on, he has Ric Flair, DDP, Undertaker, like people who Hogan, yeah, people who like were in wrestling when it mattered.
Yeah.
And now wrestling looks like dancing. Like no matter how you put it, it just looks like dancing. And that's how fans look at it. It doesn't look like it's a real combat sport, even though the risks are real, the impact is real. I think that like some of the perception of it needs to be changed, and I'm chipping away at that change little by little.
Yeah, I hate. It's one of those like, well, better men than you have tried.
Oh
No
yeah,
offense to you.
No,
like,
for sure. People who have had wider reach than me have tried and failed.
More
For
money,
sure.
more influence, more
More money, more
resources.
influence,
It's just,
but that doesn't take away the fact that like none of those people are me, like none of them have what I bring to the table on it. None of them have the mindset that I have, or the relevant experience that I have, not just with pro wrestling, but with entertainment in a whole. Like I think we can, make small changes are changes, regardless if everybody sees them or hears them.
No, I get what you mean. But
God
damn, is it an uphill battle.
Into a lake, when you throw a pebble into the lake, there's those ever widening circles, and I want to be a boulder that gets thrown into the lake.
That's good.
Do you so part of me saying that whole part about the on the record stuff, I do this segment that I call audio time travel, where I say like the people who love you the most, your parents, your family, your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, are gonna hear this 20 years into the future. 20 years into the future, they're gonna stumble across this audio, and they're gonna hear you giving kind of a timestamp of what this world means right now, and what can inspire them to be, to be better versions of themselves, to evolve to something more. And this message is going directly to them, that it's coming out of your mouth, going directly, time traveling into 2043. What are you saying to them?
Oh my God. That's a large order there, to be honest with you.
Look at my armpit hair.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying to them.
Yeah. Save your money. Save your money.
That's the first, man. That's the first anyone's.
Save your money. Look out for each other. Pass that down, generation to generation. Get off your damn phone. Get off the computer. Don't get off. No more screens. You need less screens in your life. That's for sure. Even though I just said save your money, money isn't everything at the end of the day. Go outside, whether it's still an outside to go to. if that makes any sense. Touch grass, as they say, literally and figuratively touch some grass, get some fresh air while the air is still while the air is still kind of fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Live in reality. Live in reality, but don't be of it. I guess if get a bit of advice, if that makes any sense.
The way we normally wrap up shows is, I would say, in a hypothetical way, I've gifted you this show. This is the first episode of your new podcast, Evolving with Mike Goldstein. Do you say Goldstein? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Goldstein, not Glishstein, like my parents used to say. Those old.
Does it ever weird you out when people like say Stein? When like people
that very rarely happens. Very rarely.
When it does happen, do you do a correction?
No, it's fine. Hey man, I'm not the best with spelling and grammar and pronouncing words either.
My teacher in high school, her name was just Miss Stein. And I was like, wonder how many people just call her Miss Steen. I don't understand like
Is it
why there's a difference.
S-T-E-E-N or E-I-N?
Yeah, it's weird because sometimes it'll be spelled the exact same way, but always pronounced different way, like Feinstein. Like people say Feinstein sometimes, and I
think it's
shrug
one
at
of
that.
those just like immigrant coming over the boat, like saying their name in a weird accent, and then
Yeah.
the English guy's like, yeah, Steen, yeah, get off, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. In a very since I've gifted you this show, Evolving with Mike Goldstein, in a very Jerry Springer's final thought type way, you're gonna get the most important takeaways and wrap it up in a pretty bow to inspire folks to listen to the show next week.
So so what would I do with the show?
No, how do you wrap it up in like the most valuable takeaways
Okay.
in a Jerry Springer's final thought type way?
Okay. Well, since it's my show, to pre your answer, I would immediately sell out because that's what Cory Kastle would have wanted. I get all the lame sponsors: Dollar Shave Club, Manscaped. What other ones am I missing?
You're saying ones that have to do with personal grooming, and you're the hairiest mofo in the whole world.
Yeah. Well, okay. What's all the other podcast sponsors that are
AG1 Athletic Greens?
Yeah, all those. I've sold out completely. I'm sponsored by all because that's what Cory Kastle would have wanted, and
I do want that.
That's what he would have wanted the show to evolve to become a corporate sellout, and I would have I would have sold it to Spotify for more than Joe Rogan did because that's what Cory Kastle would have wanted. And in my last take, I would then shill all those sponsors at rapid fire speed. So I'd like to thank Dollar Shave Club. I'd like to thank Manscaped. I'd like to thank all the other ones that you just said, and thank you to them and only them.
Traeger grills.
All those Eat Clean Bro. I can see getting sponsored by that one.
Eat Clean Bro, yeah. They're also fans of the Jersey Shore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would just shotgun all of those at the end, like one of those, like, how
this episode brought to you by Roca watches,
Icon earbuds,
the Raycon
earbuds, like so many sponsors I can't even remember.
Felix mattresses.
Yeah, that what's the one with the portrait? You can get like portraits painted, like.
Oh man,
I'm trying to think of the ones like Cornette.
Paint My Life.
Paint My Life, and I'd have like a lawyer like Cornette, the Stephen P. New guy, like.
Yeah, all these sponsors are definitely lining
up.
Evolution.
That's the evolution that you wanted.
Yeah, man.
It's just to completely sell out.
I want to evolve my profits.
Yeah. And then Cory would have been like, "Yeah, Mike, I'm glad that's what we always wanted. It was
just what we always wanted, Mike."
Yeah, that was the initial idea. So
thanks for getting me to the pinnacle.
Yeah. Don't worry, I cut you a check. I'd be like, here you go, kid. Here's your.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope I'd get residual.
Or I'd send you some free stuff in the mail. I don't know. I'd like, hey, remember? Yeah. Hey, look, I brought back ICO Pro. Here, look. You like ICO Pro? Like, here, I got you some.
We're like, you got a care package filled with those exercise springs. They're just springs that have handles on them.
Those door frame pull-up bars that don't work, whatever those are.
Yeah, I got one of those in my kitchen. The Iron Gym.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Iron Gym. Do you remember there was one that was like, it was a fighter, like a famous fighter. It was like Randy Couture or something like that, and it was like a gym that like you set up bands on your door, and the commercial was, if you got a door, you got a gym.
Yeah,
and then you go, let's go, princess. I'm gonna look up clips and splice that in to a clip, to a reel.
It's got to be a reel. Nobody will watch it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Other dude, if I don't make things into reels, no one's paying attention to anything I'm saying.
Yeah, that's how we just need pro wrestling to become reels.
Yeah. But that's what I was pitching to the to DCW to like let's like just put like one impressive move a day on the YouTube channel. Just one move. That's it.
That's all you need.
Yeah. Like spread it out. Let's make it work for us. Monetize that shit.
Some to pop the algorithm.
Do you do any good impressions? What's your best impression?
You know, I've been really trying to do a good Seth Rogen because I look like him when my hair is grown out and my beard with like the glasses. You know what I mean? Like I guess people
involved in the impression is only a laugh. Is that the only way
I kind of try to do the voice as best as I can because he's like a really deep kind of gurgle of a voice. You know what I mean? Like, hey guy, fucking wait till I saw the guy and he fucking shot him. I don't know what happened. Like,
did you see the new Ninja Turtles movie?
No, I haven't.
He wrote it. He wrote the new Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, did he? And that's really random.
Him and John Cena were the voice of Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh, nice. Because you're just sitting around as a producer, or like God damn, we just need someone to write a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Who can we get to do that? Like, someone get Seth Rogen on the phone right now.
Who in the world could possibly write the best?
He's got a movie coming out with the GameStop thing that happened.
The
stock thing or whatever.
This whatever.
Yeah, when they like
the stock
mail
market.
that money. Yeah, and he like plays the GameStop guy, I guess. Man, I fucking lost all my money. Oh, my fucking money's gone. I don't know where it went. Like
somebody who's into that should invest a lot of their time and effort and dollars into this podcast. So, in your best Joe Rogan impression, the way we wrap up, we say, "Be fun, have safe, keep evolving." As Seth Rogen.
As Joe Rogan.
As Joe Rogan. You're like, I don't respect you. You're insulting me.
I mean, maybe if I shaved my head right now with Dollar Shave Club, which you can get at dollarshaveclub.com
/JRE
/JR. So what was the quote again?
So be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
Okay. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving.
That was awesome. All right, everybody, make sure if this is your first time checking out Evolving with Cory Kastle to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on all the your favorite podcasting platforms. Check out the other archived episodes and make sure you hit follow and subscribe so that you get updated every time there's a new episode. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Be fun, have safe, keep evolving. Show's over.